Let's be honest. You have no idea who you are, not really. The person you call me is a stitched-together costume, a collection of expressions, opinions, and reactions you've learned to perform for other people's comfort. And the cruel part? You think you built this self out of choice. You didn't. You built it out of shame. Nietzsche understood this. He saw that most people aren't living. They're hiding in plain sight. Their smiles are camouflage. Their politeness is armor. Their niceness is a survival strategy, learned so early it feels like morality. But strip it away, and what's left? Do you even know? Shame isn't just a feeling you have sometimes. It's the architect of your entire personality. It decides what you say, how you sit, when you laugh, which dreams you allow yourself to pursue, and which you kill before they see daylight. Think about it. That thing you wanted to say but didn't. That part of you that felt alive once until someone mocked it. That moment when you knew what you felt, but swallowed it to avoid the sting of disapproval. Every one of those moments is a thread in the mask you wear now. And here's the worst part. The mask doesn't just fool other people. Wear it long enough, and it fools you. You start to believe the agreeable, edited, diluted version of yourself is the real one. Nietzsche would call that a tragedy. He'd say you've been conquered without a fight, not by enemies, but by the eyes of the people whose approval you crave. And here's the paradox. Shame feels like protection. It promises, if you just stay small, you won't get hurt. But in reality, it's the knife at your throat. It doesn't keep you safe, it keeps you obedient. So the question is not, how do I become who I am? The question is, am I willing to destroy the person shame built in my name? Because until you do, you're not living, you're just acting. And Nietzsche had no respect for actors who didn't know they were on stage. And here's where it gets even darker. In part 2, I'm going to show you the real cost of that obedience. Not in vague terms, but in the small daily ways shame has been bleeding you dry for years without you even noticing. You think you're the one in control. But after what you'll hear next, you might never look at your own choices the same way again. We are so accustomed to disguise ourselves to others that in the end, we become disguised to ourselves. Friedrich Nietzsche. The mask is not free. Every time you wear it, you pay a price. But shame makes sure you never see the bill all at once. You think you're keeping the peace. You think you're protecting your relationships, your reputation, your good person image. But what you're actually doing is trading away pieces of yourself. And you've been doing it so long that the trades feel normal. Here's how it works. You're in a conversation and someone talks over you. You could correct them, but that would feel rude. So you let it slide. Small price. You're invited to something you don't want to do. You could say no, but then they might be disappointed. So you say yes. Small price. You feel disrespected. You could speak up, but you don't want to start a conflict. So you stay quiet. Small price. But those small prices are interest payments on a debt that never stops growing. Nietzsche would tell you, your soul is not dying in one great act of betrayal. It's dying in fractions, quietly, painlessly enough that you don't notice, until one day you wake up with nothing left to trade. And this is the cruel genius of shame. It rewards you immediately for obedience. You avoid the awkward moment, you avoid the argument, you avoid the risk. In the short term, you feel safe. But in the long term, you're building a life that isn't yours. Look closely and you'll see the symptoms. You feel restless even when nothing is wrong. You avoid mirrors because you don't like who looks back at you. You feel tired all the time, not because you're doing too much, but because pretending is exhausting. And maybe worst of all, the people around you, the ones you've been so careful not to upset, they don't even know you. They know your mask. They love your mask. And somewhere deep down, that makes you resent them, not because they're bad, but because they've been loving a stranger while you've been starving in the dark. Nietzsche called this slow erosion resentment. It's what happens when the will to live, to speak, to be, has nowhere to go but inward. And once it turns inward, it doesn't protect you, it poisons you. So here's the question. How many more years can you afford to keep paying? And here's where it gets unsettling. In part 3, we're going to trace the roots of this shame. You're going to see exactly where you learned to wear the mask, why it felt like life or death to keep it on, and why, even now, your body still believes that taking it off would destroy you. What you discover may not be comfortable, but it will explain everything. What we call fate does not come from the stars above us, but from ourselves. Friedrich Nietzsche. If you want to know why shame feels like it owns you, you have to go back, way back, to when you were too young to even understand the word shame. Because you didn't learn it in a single moment. You were marinated in it. It was in the air you breathed. It was in the look your parents gave you when you cried too much. It was in the way teachers praised you when you sat quietly, but frowned when you spoke up too often. It was in the unspoken rules. Don't embarrass us, don't make a scene, don't be difficult. And here's the unusual truth, almost no one says out loud. Shame didn't just come from being criticized. It came from being rewarded for abandoning yourself. Think about it. You smiled when you didn't want to, and they said you were such a good kid. You gave up your turn for someone else, and they said you were so generous. You swallowed your anger, and they said you were mature for your age. Those weren't just compliments. They were instructions. Hide your needs. Suppress your truth. Make yourself smaller. And we will approve of you. And for a child, approval isn't just nice, it's oxygen. Your survival depends on it. So you learned fast. Certain parts of you are unsafe. This is where Nietzsche's words cut deep. The you think you are is often just the accumulation of survival strategies. And here's the most shocking part. Those strategies are still running in you today. Your nervous system doesn't know you're no longer in that childhood room, seeking your parents' protection. It reacts to a frown from your boss, the same way it reacted to your father's disapproving glance. It treats a partner's cold tone like the same threat as your mother's silent withdrawal of affection. This is why you freeze when you want to speak, why you overthink texts like they're landmines, why you say it's fine, even when it's breaking you. Your body still thinks taking off the mask will get you exiled. And in childhood, exile meant death.
If you feel a connection, hit subscribe and keep exploring with Senthora. Grateful for your support. It goes deeper than you think.
So you've been living as if survival still depends on obedience, when in reality, that obedience is what's slowly killing you now. And here's the part that should scare you. The more successful you are at hiding, the less anyone will ever know you're suffocating. You will become invisible in plain sight. In part 4, the quiet agreement with shame will finally break. You'll see the moment the mask fails, when the strategies that kept you alive stop working, and the real self starts pushing through whether you want it to or not. And when it happens, you won't be able to go back. Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed. Friedrich Nietzsche. If you keep the mask on, your life will not end in a single dramatic tragedy. It will dissolve slowly until you can't tell where the pretending stops and you begin. You'll keep making safe choices until you wake up and realize your days are filled with things you never truly chose. You'll become an expert at smiling in the right moments, saying the right things, and hiding every trace of discomfort. And the world will reward you for it. Promotions, polite praise, surface-level friendships. But inside, you'll rot. The years will pass and you'll feel the hollowing out, a slow erosion of desire. You'll watch your own reflection grow more unfamiliar, not because of age, but because the spark in your eyes went out long ago. And the scariest part is, you'll learn to accept it. You'll tell yourself, this is just adulthood. This is normal. But normal will mean you can't remember the last time you said something without rehearsing it in your head first. It will mean lying awake at night, feeling like a stranger in your own body. It will mean loving people who will never truly know you and realizing they can't because you've never let them see you. Shame will let you live just enough to watch yourself vanish. But here's the thing about masks. Sometimes they crack. It can happen in an argument, in a moment of exhaustion, or in the presence of someone who sees through you without asking permission. 1 second, you're in control. The next, something breaks loose. Words come out you didn't plan to say. Your tone sharpens. Your face shows anger, or joy, or longing before you can hide it. At first, it feels like danger. Your chest tightens. Your mind screams, fix it, put the mask back on. But beneath that fear, something else stirs. A pulse you haven't felt in years. Relief. For a fleeting moment, you're unedited, raw, whole. And even if it costs you someone's approval, even if it scares people, there's a taste to it you can't forget. Nietzsche would tell you, once you've met yourself without the mask, you cannot unmeet them. You can try to go back, but the illusion will never hold the same way again. In part 5, we step into that rare, dangerous stillness, the first breath without armor, and see what it's like to stand in the open as yourself, with no role to play and no script to follow. The secret for harvesting from existence the greatest fruitfulness and the greatest enjoyment is to live dangerously. Friedrich Nietzsche. It's strange the first time you stand without the mask. The world looks the same. The same room, the same people, the same sunlight through the window. But something in the air is different. It's quieter, not because there's no noise, but because there's no performance running in your head, no rehearsing what to say, no scanning their faces for approval, no checking yourself against 1,000 invisible rules. At first, you almost reach for it, the mask, the role, the practice smile. It's muscle memory. But then you stop, and in that pause you feel it. The weight you've been carrying for years is gone. Your breathing changes, your shoulders drop, even the sound of your own voice surprises you. It's deeper, warmer, less careful. And yes, there's fear. The old part of you still whispers, this is dangerous. It remembers the times being yourself got you punished, mocked, or left alone. But underneath the fear, there's something you haven't felt in years, an unshakable clarity. You realize you are not fragile. You are not too much. You are not a problem to be managed. You are simply yourself, unhidden, unnegotiated, unapproved. Nietzsche was right. Living dangerously isn't about cliff edges or grand gestures. It's about this: the risk of letting people see you, not the version you built to please them, but the one you buried to survive. And here's the truth they don't tell you. Once you taste this freedom, even for a moment, it's impossible to forget. You will spend the rest of your life moving toward it. You don't need to know exactly what comes next. You don't need a plan or a speech or anyone's permission. You just need to take the next breath as yourself, and then the one after that. The mask is gone, the stage is empty, and for the first time, you are not acting. In part 6, we stop talking about freedom and start taking it. You'll see the exact moves that break shame's grip, the ones that make you feel your real self in your bones. No waiting, no permission, just the life you were meant to live, starting now. No one can build you the bridge on which you, and only you, must cross the river of life. Friedrich Nietzsche. You felt the flicker, the rawness of seeing yourself without disguise. But that was just the first breath. Becoming yourself is different. It's not about removing something anymore. It's about building something that's so unmistakably you. No one could mistake it for anyone else. And it starts in small, almost dangerous ways. You answer questions in your own words, even if they don't sound smart or correct, because they're yours. You rearrange your living space to match your sense of beauty, even if it looks strange to others. You order the thing you actually want at the restaurant instead of the one that makes you seem interesting or healthy. You speak about the thing you love, the video game, the obscure poet, the weird hobby, without downplaying it so it's cool. You tell a story the way you remember it, not the way you think will make people like you. At first, it feels like standing in a spotlight you didn't ask for. Every move feels too big, too loud, too much. But this is how the real self grows, in the moments where you choose truth over performance. Being yourself means you stop living as a version designed for smoothness. It's choosing the rough edges that make you distinct, even when they confuse people, even when they walk away. And here's what's strange. The more you choose yourself, the easier it gets. Not because shame disappears, but because your real self starts to feel like home. A place you want to return to, no matter how messy the outside world gets. These moments don't just reveal you, they anchor you. They remind you, I am here, I exist, I am allowed. Becoming yourself isn't a grand gesture. It's dozens of tiny revolutions, stacked day after day, until the performance rots away, and there's nothing left but the unmistakable shape of you. In part 7, we step fully onto that bridge Nietzsche spoke of. Not back to who you were before shame, but forward into the person only you could have become. The arrival, the breath, the unshakable return. The arrival, the breath, the unshakable return. Become who you are by learning who you are. Friedrich Nietzsche. You've walked through the fog. You felt the weight of the mask and the air when you took it off. You faced the roots of your shame, the cost of keeping it, the cracks in its walls, and the pulse of your real self. Now, this is where you return. Not to the timid self that existed before shame. That person was still negotiating their existence, still asking for permission to breathe. You return as the one who has stood at the edge of annihilation and kept walking. This return is not quiet. It's not polite. It's not about fitting in anymore. It's about taking up space in your own life without apology. You've seen how shame operates. in whispers, in delays, in 1,000 small surrenders. And now you know. The only way to kill it is to outlive it. Day by day, choice by choice, standing in the discomfort until it turns into strength. Nietzsche didn't believe in half measures. He believed in tearing down the false idols and rebuilding from the raw material of your own truth. That's what you've been doing here, stripping away what was inherited, injected, or imposed, until what's left is undeniable. And here's the truth you need to leave with. You have everything you need. Not someday. Not after you fix yourself. Not after you've earned enough approval to risk losing it. Now, when you speak, speak in your voice. When you choose, choose in your way. When you love, love without editing. When you walk into a room, walk as if you belong there, because you do. This is not arrogance. This is the natural state of someone who remembers they were never meant to live bent over, waiting to be told they are enough. Shame will still try. It will test you. It will come dressed as caution, as humility, as being reasonable. But now you know the truth. Its only weapon was the belief that you needed it. And you don't. You are not returning to normal life. You are returning to your life. The one you choose, the one that carries your shape, your voice, your fingerprints. And from here forward, every moment is an act of rebellion against the lie that you were ever meant to be anyone but yourself. Go. Live as if there is no mask left to wear, because for you, there isn't. If this video spoke to you, hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment, not just for me, but because it helps promote this channel so the people who truly need to hear this will find it. I'll be deeply grateful for that. Live this week as if shame has no vote in your choices. It doesn't. I'll see you in the next video. Watch them. Your future self is already waiting there.